Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second class here at the Yugioh Center for kids who can't read good and want to learn how to do other stuff good too. So today I'll be going over my February 2025 Stun Deck profile, version 2.0, upgraded it. First profile kind of went over stuff that you would pretty much hand the deck over to someone that is just learning the deck. Again, the goal of the first profile was pretty much putting 5 cards in someone's hand, and you can just read the 5 cards, one sentence, very simple stuff. This deck is very simple as well. Stun decks typically are. You normal summon a monster and you set back row. However, I did make some adjustments and some upgrades. So without further ado, we will go into the deck profile. Again, similar to the last one, main monster of the deck is 3 Fossil Dyna. You normal summon him, your opponent cannot special summon monsters. Similar to Fossil Dyna, we also have 2 barrier statues and 1 Thunder King Ryo. So with the barrier statue, your opponent cannot special summon unless they are water monsters. And with Thunder King Ryo, he is a walking Drow and Lockbird. As long as he is on the field, your opponent cannot, or pretty much anyone cannot add cards from their deck to their hand. This is one card I am most likely going to be eliminating. I will be making one more profile with this, with the last minute adjustments I did make. I'll kind of go over those later. But this card is generally good. However, now with the upgrades, we do have cards where we do add from the deck to the hand. So this is most likely going to be eliminated, possibly for a 3rd barrier statue. Then for the upgrades, we have 3 Nadir Servants and 2 Dogmatica Ecclesia. So this package does so much for the deck. 1 Nadir Servant works as a great going second card. So does Dogmatica Ecclesia, because when your opponent has a monster that is on the field that will special summon from the extra deck, you can special summon this card from your hand. So you can go, if you're going second, you special summon it, and then you can add, if this card is special summon the next deck, on the field, you can special summon from your hand. And then, so if this card is normal or special summon, you can activate the effect, add 1 Dogmatica card. So usually you are going to want to be adding Dogmatica Punishment. So we'll go over that when we go over the trap cards. Actually, we'll just go over that now. Might as well just show the package. So we have 3 Dogmatica Punishments. So you normal this, or you special summon it, you add Dogmatica Punishment. Just so much you can do with this whole package. With Nadir Servant, we'll be going over the extra deck later, but there's so many different things. You send an outer entity into this, you add Dogmatica Ecclesia, you activate outer entity and use Entis, pop a card on the field. Just so much diversity with this small package. And like I said, it adds so much to the deck. Draw power, back row destruction, just a lot. And then that's not even including the plus you get off of Dogmatica Punishment, which pretty much does a similar thing. You target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, send monster with equal or higher attack from the extra deck, and if you do, destroy that monster. So you can send a card like this, destroy monster, then also destroy a second card on the field with the outer entity. So we have 3 of those in the extra deck. Just a really good package. Adds so much to the deck. So now the other new addition is Decisive Battle. Okay, so with this card, again, just helps the deck kind of doing stuff that it wasn't doing before, having follow-up. If, say you have this card on the field, it's a continuous spell, so you place it face up. If you have 4 back row and they use Harpy's Feather Duster, this card sends a card from the extra deck that mentions Fallen of Albaz. So we have cards like Mirror Jade, you send Mirror Jade. It negates that effect, pretty much protects all your cards. The one card I am missing that I found out this morning is the Ash Dragon. It's Titaniclad, which is pretty much a 3 if you're gonna want in this deck using Decisive Battle, because you send to Titaniclad, then during the end phase you get to add a Dogmatica Ecclesia. So again, this deck is starting to go into a little bit of not necessarily combos, but you are chaining cards, you are adding cards. we now have blocks of essays. Again, most of the stuff is irrelevant. The main thing is it protects your cards from being destroyed, and you can use it every turn by sending a card that mentions Fallen of Albaz. And we'll kind of go over those when we go over the extra deck as well. We also have draw power. So we have 3 Pot of Dualities, and now we have 1 Pot of Prosperity. So we're no longer running the extravagance because we actually value our extra deck now. Just because it is a toolbox, we have utilities with it. Just a lot to do with the extra deck. So much to go into. So we can pick and choose now with Pot of Prosperity and dig into our deck as well to get certain cards. Okay, now we were going to go into our defensive spell cards. Okay, so now we have Moon, Mirror Shield. We still have 2 of them in the deck. You attach this to one of your monsters. It makes their attack 100 over whatever they are attacking into. So pretty much makes it undestructible by battle. So if your monster dies or if they pop this card, you can pay 500 and put it back on top of the deck. Now we're still running 2 Stormy Mirror Forces and 1 regular Mirror Force. Just more battle protection. Just a personal favorite card with the Mirror Force. Just keep it in the deck. This is a fun deck. It's not meant to be too competitive, so figure why not. Usually, if you want to make it as competitive as possible, you would probably just run 3 of these. But like I said, this is meant to... It's a stun deck. You know what you're doing when you're playing this deck. More defensive cards. You normal summon a card that says that they cannot special summon. If you have no protection for that card, you want as many cards like this as possible to protect your card when you don't have defense. They normal summon, try and beat over your Fossil Dyna, you crack on them, take it away. We also have 3 Solemn Strikes. Just very powerful cards that stun decks usually utilize. Solemn Judgment, more back row protection, more protection from everything. And for our going second cards, we now are running 3 Evenly Matched. So if you are going second, you can banish their whole board -1 usually. Again, before we were running Regeki Dark Hole, now we're getting a little more advanced with it. You do have to read this card to see what it says at the end of the battle phase. So you skip your main phase 1, go into battle phase, and at the end of the battle phase, if your opponent controls more cards than you do, you can make your opponent banish cards from their field face down so they can control the same number of cards. Basically, if they have 5 cards, they're going to be left. If they choose 1 card to keep and they banish the other 4. And now we are going to our Floodgates. So we have Skill Drain, and there can be only 1. Skill Drain, you pay 1,000 life points. You negate the effects of all monsters on the field. The new edition with there can be only 1. Each player can only control 1 monster, or 1 monster of each type. So if they have 4 Worm monsters, 4 Spellcaster monsters, 4 Dragon monsters, they had to send all of them except 1 to the graveyard. This card does not affect us because usually we have something like this. We're only controlling 1 anyways. We have 1 rock, we have 1 Spellcaster, so the type is right there. Just a great blowout card as well. Kind of a going second card if you set that and then just kind of pass, and then flip this up, hard to out. Now we are going to go into our extra deck, because now we actually have an extra deck that does stuff. Outer Entity, use cards like Dogmatic of Punishment to pop a card. Then this card activates in the graveyard to pop another card. It can do back row, it can do monsters as well. So pretty much the best card, I would say, in the extra deck. Let me see. Similar to that, we also have Fossil Warrior and Fossil Machine. So this one pops a spell and trap card on the field, and this one can pop, I believe, just the target 1 monster on the field, destroy it. Yeah, it's just more utility. We also have one of the other best drawable cards we have is Garura. So with Garura, when this card gets sent to the graveyard, you can draw a card. So really good card. You can also mix that with this. So you send Dogmatic of Punishment, you pop a monster that has 3,500 or pretty much a high attack, you send this. This chains, you can send Guru and draw cards. You can pop a high attack monster and then draw a card as well. We have the other Tri-Brigade card, Tri-Brigade Fairjet. This one says draw one and put one card back at the bottom of the deck. So again, just kind of draw power. And then for the Decisive Battle, again, we would be running the Ash Dragon, but for now, it just has to be a card with the Fallen of Albas name on it. So we have these cards for now. And then just more utility. We have Cloud Beast, Golden Cloud Beast, Cyframe, Lord Omega, and the Wind Pegasus. So just more utility cards. This one, when it's sent to the graveyard, you can target one face-up card on your opponent controls, return it to the hand. This one, once returned to your next, once returned to the main phase, you can banish a card. No, not that effect. Once returned to your opponent's standby phase, you can target one banished card, return to the graveyard. Okay. So if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one other card in the graveyard, shuffle both this card and that card into the deck. So just kind of a graveyard disruption. And this one is kind of defense for later in the turn. So this says, while this card is in your graveyard or on your field, you can banish this card, then target one card your opponent controls, shuffle it into the deck. So again, just more utility. Diversity in the extra deck. These are kind of cards you would probably be sending off Pot of Prosperity. You don't really use them as much. But yeah, so I will be adding 3 like Ash Dragons because definitely needed in this deck. So now I'm going to be going over some test hands. Okay, so we are back. We're going to go over some test hands. Kind of going over what the deck can do. Again, should be very straightforward and simple. We got Decisive Battle, Solemn Judgment, Fossil Dyna, Nadir Servant, and Pot of Prosperity. Okay, so Pot of Prosperity does kind of conflict with the Nadir Servant because it's generally first turn. You want to send your Gura, send it to the graveyard, add a card, and then you would draw a card. You would pretty much +1ing off that. With Pot of Prosperity though, we're not going to be doing that. We're going to activate this. We're going to banish 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those are good ones. We're going to dig into our deck. We banish those. We see 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry. 6. Okay, I think we're just going to take a Solemn Judgment. We could take Power of Duality as well and kind of dig deeper again, or have it for next turn. We're just going to take the extra protection. Now we're going to Nadir Servant. So again, usually we would take Gura, but with Pot of Prosperity, it says we cannot draw cards. You cannot draw cards by card effects the turn you activate this card. Okay. So instead, we're just going to go ahead and send Wind Pegasus just to have some defense. So this says, while this card is on the field or graveyard, okay, no. So if another monster you control is destroyed by battle or your opponent's card effect, while this card is on the field or in the graveyard, you can banish this card and target one card your opponent controls, shuffle it into the deck. So just an extra layer of defense again. We are starting to play a little more big-headed with this deck. Okay, now we are going to normal summon Fossil Dyna, place these 2 Solemn Judgments down, activate this. Your opponent goes. Typically, maybe they don't know what this card does. If they do, or let's just say they activate Harpy's Feather Duster, we would have this, but instead we can send. We would send the Ash Dragon. Typically, let's just say it is the Ash Dragon. So we send the Ash Dragon. At the end of the turn, we get to add a Dogmatica card. We will be adding Ecclesia, and your back row is not protected. They then normal summon a monster. You can Solemn Judgment that. You're down to 4,000. They have nothing to do. They cannot special summon. End of the turn, you add Dogmatic Ecclesia. Shuffle the deck. They pass turn. You draw Solemn Strike. So now you normal summon Ecclesia, activate its effect. When it is normal or special summon, you can add a Dogmatica card. We're going to add Dogmatica Punishment. Okay, we set both of these down. Okay, so now we have a their field will be empty, so we attack for 2,700. We're down to 4,000. So now they try and normal summon. Let's just say it's a 2,000 monster. Again, we're not playing a really big brain deck. We're not reading, they're not reading, so they're not realizing that they can't destroy monsters, but let's just say they try and attack Fossil Dyna. We activate this again. We send the Ash Dragon. We can add another Ecclesia, or we could Solemn Judgment it. Actually, you know what? We'll actually just do this. Yeah, so we'll do this. Let's say they summon a card like Ecclesia. We send Grura, we draw a card, we pop their card. We +1, we got Crackdown. Yeah, and now they have an empty field again. It's our turn. We draw, we got Pot of Duality. We activate Pot of Duality. 1, 2, 3. I'm just gonna go ahead and get the Barrier Statue. We summon it, we set this, we attack for 3,700. Again, same thing, next turn, we have protection. They try and back row removal again. Let's just say they have Lightning Storm, we Solemn Judgment that. They normal summon a monster, we cracked on them, we take their monster. We draw Nadir Servant. We can send a Garura. Search this. Activate Garura's effect to draw a card. We draw Pot of Duality. Activate Pot of Duality. 1, 2, 3. We can just get, we can do there can be only one. Okay, so now we have 2 cards in hand. Set this, pretty much swing for game. But yeah, it's very simple. Again, we'll be adding the Ash Dragon just so you guys can kind of see more in depth what the card is, how we utilize it, and why it's such an important part of this deck. But yeah, very simple deck. Honestly, fun depending on who you're asking. It sets up a board that says your opponent cannot do stuff. That is pretty much the objective of Yu-Gi-Oh! I know hand traps are pretty popular now. So I know that's usually one of the arguments against stun decks as well. You can use hand traps, where hand traps kind of do nothing against this deck except pretty much Ash Blossom. Infinite Impermanence actually good going second card to negate one of our stun monsters as well. But yeah, just see one more test hand. Mirror Force, Fossil Dyna, Solemn Judgment, Ecclesia, Pot of Prosperity. So pretty good hand again. Probably go into Prosperity Dig for 6. So if we were going second, we would grab this, blow up their board. Otherwise, you kind of just get your protection for your back row. Again, this is meant to be a deck for beginners, people that don't really want to go into the super heavy combo stuff. Pretty fun, I would say. Not fun to go against. I was practicing with it on Master Duel. Notice whenever you summon this guy, your opponent pretty much quits. Probably will be a little different playing in person, might get a few bad looks. Then again, Yu-Gi-Oh! Players are kind of, I guess it depends, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Players are a little more receptive on pretty much allowing players to pick whatever deck they want in person. You're not really probably going to hear as much complaints in person. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching. Again, I will be posting a third class for this deck with the upgrades and kind of doing more test hands, just seeing what exactly I can take out, maybe the Pot of Prosperity. just because it negates with the Gurura. But again, it is also good to dig for your like 1-second cards as well. But yeah, I think that's it for now. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.